We hear a lot about motivation. People chase it like it's some magical fuel, some spark that's gonna light the fire and keep it burning. They wait for it, scroll for it, listen to speeches hoping to catch a wave of it. And sure, motivation can be powerful. It feels good, it can get you started, but here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable, it's a fair weather friend. Shows up when it wants to, not when you need it. Commitment, on the other hand, is a whole different animal. Commitment doesn't care how you feel in the moment. Commitment doesn't take a day off. When you're committed to something, you do it whether the sun's shining or the storm's rolling in. It doesn't matter if you're tired, bored, unmotivated, or uninspired. You do it anyway because it's who you are, because you said you would. Now, the reason most people don't stick to a goal, whether it's health, a career, or personal growth, is because they confuse being excited with being committed. Excitement fades, it's emotional. Commitment is rooted in identity. The person who gets up at 5 a.m. to train every morning isn't doing it because it feels good every time. They're doing it because they've tied that action to who they are becoming. It's not a choice anymore, it's part of the fabric. Let's put it into a real-world scenario. Say you've decided you want to become healthier. You're motivated on day 1. You bought the new shoes, prepped your meals, made your playlist. Day 2, still feeling good. But what about day 17, when work ran late, you slept like hell, and the couch is calling your name louder than the gym? That's the fork in the road. Motivation won't be there. But if you're committed, you lace up those shoes anyway. That's when the shift happens from wanting something to owning it. The next 90 days can't be built on hype. They need to be built on honesty. What are you actually willing to commit to? Not when it's convenient, but when it's inconvenient. Not when you're inspired, but when you're drained. What are you willing to do repeatedly with no applause, no spotlight, and no dopamine hit? We live in a culture that glorifies the beginning. The starting gun, the big declaration, the I'm gonna change everything moment. But beginnings are cheap. Everyone can start. Few stay in it. Few endure the middle. The stretch of days where it's quiet, where the excitement's gone, where progress is invisible. That's where commitment separates the dreamers from the doers. And don't mistake consistency for perfection. You're gonna stumble, you'll miss a day, you might fall off track. That doesn't cancel the commitment. That's part of the journey. Real commitment isn't rigid. It bends without breaking. It says, all right, today wasn't it, but I'll be back tomorrow. That's where resilience is born. One more thing, commitment doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't ask for recognition. It's quiet. It's patient. It's showing up to the same place, doing the same thing, getting 1% better every day. And eventually, without even realizing it, you look up and realize you've built something real, something solid, something earned. So if you're setting out to change something over the next 90 days, don't rely on motivation. Don't wait for a feeling to carry you. Instead, make a decision, lock it in. Decide who you are becoming and align your actions with that vision. Even when it's hard, even when no one sees it. Because the truth is, motivation might get you going, but commitment, that's what gets you there. If you don't know where you're going, every road looks good. That's one of life's oldest truths. We drift, we wander, we fill our calendars, our days, our heads with stuff. With tasks, distractions, noise. We stay busy, but we're not really going anywhere. So the first thing you've got to do before you plan, before you hustle, before you push, is get clear. Clarity is power. Clarity gives your energy direction. Without it, you're just moving. With it, you're building. The next 90 days are not just time passing. They're a window, a chapter, a stretch of life that's going to happen whether you plan it or not. The question is, will it happen to you or for you? So you've got to define it. You've got to decide. What does the win look like? Not some vague, fuzzy idea of getting better or working on myself. No. What exactly do you want to walk away with 90 days from now? Is it weight lost, pages written, a new habit wired into your bones, a skill developed, a version of yourself that you can look at in the mirror and say, there, that's the one I've been trying to meet. You've got to see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hands. This part right here. This clarity isn't optional. It's essential, and it's not about making a wish list. It's about painting a target, a bullseye, something you can aim at every single day. Without that, you'll get swept up in the current of whatever comes your way. Work, stress, obligations, other people's opinions. You'll look up 90 days from now and wonder where all that time went. Wonder how you ended up in the same place with the same problem. And it won't be because you didn't work hard. It'll be because you didn't point your effort in the right direction. Clarity also sharpens your decisions. It gives you a filter. When you know where you're headed, you stop saying yes to every invitation, every impulse, every shiny thing. You know what aligns and what distracts. You can say no without guilt because your yes is going somewhere. And let me tell you something important. Your vision doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to matter to you. It doesn't have to be massive, and it doesn't have to be loud. Maybe it's about showing up for yourself every morning. Maybe it's about saving a little more each week. Maybe it's finally sticking to a bedtime, a journal, a promise. Whatever it is, if it matters to you, then it matters. That's enough. Now, once you've got that clarity, once you've written it down and made it real, here comes the next piece. Break it down. Reverse engineer it. If that's where you want to be in 90 days, what's the 60-day version of that? What should you be seeing at the halfway point? How about 30 days, 1 week, when you can break a 90-day vision down into daily actions? You're no longer chasing something big and abstract. You're doing something small, something concrete, something within reach. And you start to trust yourself. You start to believe in your own follow-through. You start to see progress, and that becomes fuel. Let's be clear, though, this isn't about obsessing over outcomes. It's about alignment, about making sure the steps you take each day are actually walking you towards something that means something to you. Without that, even your wins will feel hollow. You don't need 100 goals. You need one vision, one direction. One thing you can point your compass toward when everything else gets loud and messy. Because it will get messy. That's life. Distractions will come. Emotions will shift. People will have opinions. But if your vision is strong enough, if it's rooted in your values, in your purpose, then you'll keep walking. You won't need motivation to remind you what you're working for. You'll know. So take the time, sit with it. Be honest with yourself. What do you want to feel, achieve, become in these next 90 days? Not what you think you should do. Not what sounds good to post. Not what someone else is doing. What do you want? Get clear, because once you are, everything else starts to make sense. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a worksheet or action plan template to help lock in that clarity. Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of the third keynote. Discipline builds freedom, delivered in an educational tone with a grounded, reflective, and soulful delivery, inspired by the cadence and mindset of someone who's been in the arena. Most people hear the word discipline and immediately associate it with restriction, rules, pressure, a heavy hand. It sounds like something that takes from you, something that boxes you in, but that's not discipline. That's punishment. Discipline, real discipline, is something completely different. It's not a cage. It's a key. It doesn't confine you. It frees you. See freedom. The kind of freedom people really want isn't about doing whatever you want whenever you feel like it. That's chaos, not freedom. It's empty calories. It feels good for a moment, but it doesn't last. It leaves you scattered, chasing the next thing, stuck in the loop. True freedom, that comes from structure. It comes from rhythm. It comes from being in control of yourself, instead of being controlled by every impulse, distraction, or emotion that passes through. Discipline is what gives you that control. The next 90 days are an opportunity to shift how you see it. Not as a burden, but as a gift. You don't practice discipline to be hard on yourself. You practice it to build the life you actually want to live. You make that daily commitment to show up. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Because every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, even in the smallest way, you're stacking confidence. You're building proof. You're earning trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, really trust yourself, you walk differently. You speak with clarity. You don't second guess every move. You don't need to be pushed or prodded, because you know you've been in the gym when no one else was watching. You've made the hard choices when no one was keeping score. You've got the receipts. Now look, this isn't about living a life with no fun. No flexibility. Discipline doesn't mean rigidity, it means intention. It means doing what needs to be done, even when it's inconvenient, because your future self is counting on you. It means knowing when to say yes, when to say no, and when to wait. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. And that doesn't mean you don't ever rest or relax. It means your rest is earned, not escaped into. Think about how much energy we waste on regret, on guilt, on scrambling to fix what could have been avoided. Discipline saves you from that. It's preventative. It keeps the weeds out of the garden so you don't have to pull them out later. It makes the hard decisions up front so life gets easier down the line. And here's something else. Discipline isn't something you either have or don't. It's not a personality trait. It's a muscle. You train it. You don't need to go from zero to perfect overnight. That's not sustainable, and it's not the point. What you need is repetition. Small wins stacked over time. One choice at a time. You train discipline every time you wake up when you said you would. Every time you show up to the thing you promised yourself you'd do. Every time you say, "Not now," to a temptation that doesn't serve your vision. You're building something every time you follow through. And the more you practice it, the less you have to force it. It becomes a part of you. It stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like alignment. That's when life opens up. That's when you get the freedom to focus, to create, to explore. Because your foundation is solid. You're not fighting the same battles over and over. You've leveled up. So as you step into these next 90 days, I want you to remember this. Freedom doesn't come from doing less. It comes from doing what matters consistently. It comes from discipline, from holding yourself to a standard, not because someone's watching, but because you respect yourself enough to follow through. Build that discipline one day at a time, one promise at a time. Make it part of your identity. Let it guide you when motivation fades. Let it shape you when the path gets hard, because once it's yours, it can't be taken. And that, my friend, that's freedom. Let me know if you want this turned into a habit tracker, challenge plan, or reflection journal for the 90-day journey. Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of the 4th keynote. Audit your circle and environment. delivered in an educational, grounded tone with that steady, storytelling style that invites reflection more than it demands action. You can have the best goals, the clearest vision, the strongest discipline, but if your environment is pulling in the opposite direction, you're swimming upstream. And eventually, even the strongest swimmers get tired. That's why this next part matters just as much as the work you're doing on yourself. It's time to take a hard, honest look around. Audit your circle, audit your space, audit the inputs shaping your mind, your habits, your energy, because whether you realize it or not, your environment is always influencing you. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the energy in your home, the noise in your phone, it's all feeding you something. The question is it nourishing you or draining you? Let's start with people. Who are you spending the most time with? Not who do you want to spend time with, who do you actually hear from, text, see, listen to, day in and day out. Every person in your circle is either helping you grow or holding you back. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the friend who laughs at your goals because they don't want to feel left behind. The coworker who complains every Monday and drags the whole mood down. The family member who only calls when something's wrong. These relationships may not be toxic in the obvious sense, but they're heavy, and when you're trying to climb, extra weight matters. Now, this doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It doesn't mean you become cold or closed off. What it means is you get intentional. You decide who gets your time, who gets your ear, who gets influence. And more importantly, you create space for voices that lift you, challenge you, inspire you, people who are going where you want to go, or better yet, already there, people who want to see you win and aren't afraid to hold you accountable along the way. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop explaining yourself to people who aren't even trying to understand. Your journey isn't meant to make sense to everyone, and that's okay. Now let's talk about physical space. What's the vibe of the place you wake up in every day? Does it reflect clarity or chaos, order or distraction? Your environment should support your goals, not sabotage them. If your kitchen is full of junk food, don't act surprised when you break your nutrition plan. If your desk is buried in clutter, don't wonder why you can't focus. Small changes in your environment can create big shifts in your behavior. Even your digital space matters. Your phone, your feeds, your inbox. You're not just scrolling. You're soaking. Soaking in opinions, fears, trends, arguments, envy, noise. And if you're not careful, all that input starts to shape your output. You find yourself comparing your progress to someone else's highlight reel. You get pulled into drama that doesn't belong to you. You start to believe that busy equals productive. Before long, you're off track not because you gave up, but because you got distracted. So what do? You clean house. You start by asking, does this support the person I'm becoming? About everything, every habit, every conversation, every app, every piece of media. If it doesn't support that version of you, it's time to let it go. That doesn't mean you become hyper, disciplined and rigid about every single thing. It means you become aware. Because once you're aware, you're no longer a passive product of your environment. You're the architect of it. And here's the beautiful part. Once you begin shaping your environment to match your values, everything starts to align. You don't have to push so hard. You're not resisting friction every day. Your space, your people, your habits, they all begin to move in the same direction. That's when momentum builds. So as you move into these next 90 days, ask yourself not just, what do I need to change in me? But also, what do I need to change around me? Because success is not a solo sport, and growth is not built in a vacuum. It's built in the soil you plant yourself in. Choose rich soil, choose wise voices, choose peace over noise, choose alignment over approval. Because when your circle and your space match your values, you don't just change, you stay changed. Let me know if you'd like a checklist or worksheet to help with your personal 90-day environment and relationship audit.